Well, good evening, video audience. I just had a request to do an evening address, and I would love to return to my stretches and exercise routine. More than I have been. I feel the years going by. I know some say life begins at 40. I can see 40 on the horizon now for myself, and I'm glad I made the choice in my 20s to take care, and my 30s to take care of my skin as best I could. I'm glad I made that choice because I'm sometimes told strangers mistook you for a 20-year-old. So, almost ready to do an ad for a soap in here. Now, I've been contacted by a being who says she's referred to on Earth as an Andromedan, as an associated with the Andromeda constellation we call Andromeda. For several years, she goes by the nickname Big Bertha, and I'm currently in a state of CE2 on the high neck scale with Big Bertha. I often have contact with her, as she prefers to be known. I often have contact with her spirit family in spirit. And so, forgive me, Bertha, do you have a specific request? I wanted to cover the skeptics that have been constantly in attack mode for years on this circuit, because they're also vexing to the Sirian Council, and we've also heard from the Sirian Council of Sirius A today. Or should we address the other issue here? So this is not my normal bald spot. For those, I hadn't addressed this before. I had some psychic attacks from somebody I'm pretty sure wasn't Andromedan, where there was like a psychic being that manifested. I was just like, I'm angry at beings that resonate in the light, and with the continued support of Arcturians. I've noticed this being has changed its behavior, and it stopped being a malevolent being of shadow to me. I was so embarrassed when Anik dropped him off the other day. Basically, why is it okay for Christians to do black magic when they're also decrying black magic? Because this being might be described as pure black magic, and in a previous video, I'm worried I made a misstatement that I don't know if I did it correct right now. Where I... Yes, thank you, Bertha. I agree with that completely. At any rate, I might have mistook what this being did for a living being at the time. Once I started to analyze my surroundings and look at my psychic experience with the assistance of a being called Betray, it's associated with the Andromeda Council material, the Andromedans, as I know them, started to help me analyze my psychic experience. And I began differentiating better because... So, basically you can see the wall behind me here. And in some of the repeated psychic attacks from this being, it just like slammed me into the wall, and I'm worried that even people who've accepted such powerful spirits as Archangel Metatron can be suddenly overtaken by a being of shadow like this, and that what a spirit like that could do for spirit workers who work with a guardian angel is, just help them have you maintain your will to survive. And over the course of 4 to 6 weeks, I had these repeated skull attacks with, association with this being that appears just like it's just about the same size as my skull, and he just like rages at the light sometimes. And today, and for like the last 3 weeks, I haven't been suffering from these psychic attacks. And I got off topic there. Last night I was so offended when Anik showed up with like this being in a bag, like please attack Bryant for not converting. And this makes me so uncomfortable with Anik. I could have swore I saw Anik do that. And frankly, that makes me kind of worried about Anik, about the spirit who do about Anik. And I know some people believe they're Anik reborn, that they're Anik brought back to life, and I'm not worried about that. I try not to worry about diversity of human cognitive experience on Earth because of the different generators of human cognitive experience, or why certain people would have chosen to do that, why certain people would have chosen to believe that they're Anik reborn, what kind of perhaps visions, powerful visions led them to believe or involved. I presume somebody like that would have powerful visions in their life, and that they're more than just a voice. And so, lately I've been wearing a hat while my hair's regrowing hair. And in a different being of shadow attack, you could have convinced me it was a tall gray, but then I see, I have a scar on my arm right here, like a bite mark now. I didn't used to have scars from the bite marks. And this one was not from Zersetsong practices. I've also been targeted with the shameful practice of Zersetsong by the Chinese Communist government. And instead of trying to reason with me, they just conduct Zersetsong when they're ready to die, I think sometimes communists just tell me that I'm ready to die right now. I am ready to die right now by... Though I don't feel like I've been actually... I don't feel like these being of shadow attacks were Zersetsong. I feel like these were something else. Although I also had biting pattern stuff happen with Zersetsong, frankly. I thought this being of shadow seemed to possess somebody involved with Zersetsong practices. It seemed like he flew to China and possessed the person who's... Because I think it's known to public intelligence that there's quantum entanglement going on. Quantum entanglement research in China, and so I don't want to conduct warfare on China. I just hope that the communist government can leave me to my talks about spirit and other practices in the West, and I'll staunchly maintain that party members who want to push rapid socialism are in error in their thinking. They're in error in their thinking that this is desirable in the West. The West is not ready for full luxury space communism. The West is ready for full luxury space socialism, possibly at several levels, where some kind of democratic socialist could succeed as a candidate in a local government, whereby I feel that the Communist Party candidates, third-party candidates in the United States of America, who run as the Communist Party, are much less electable than a democratic socialist. And I know that that word socialist is poison in like Germany and Russia because of the events in the aftermath of World War II especially. One of my earliest memories is the fall of the Berlin Wall. There's some trivia about me personally. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brian Hess, and I'm from Portland, Oregon. I understand myself in the context of an extraterrestrial contactee. And Big Bertha asked me to change my shirt. I never wear this shirt. I'm trying to be... I don't think this one's from Sweatshop Labor. I feel, see, that's where myself in the communist degree is. I feel ashamed of Sweatshop Labor. Ashamed of it. And I'm not ashamed to agree with the communist about it. I don't think it's the worst Hawaiian shirt I have, but I'm just grateful to have more than 2 pairs of shirts. And it's a decent place to live. And I'm sorry about the damage to the walls. At least I didn't get a concussion. At least I was just contused, not concussed from the being of shadow attacks. And, from the bite mark, that was a different being, and I'm just going. I have some battle scars from having attracted these beings of shadow into my life. Both of which I'm afraid to say I attracted from other contactees. I won't issue a word of warning about them. I'll just say, by participating in none of them were from my own summoning. And I feel as though going into certain online circles, I attracted these beings into my life, and just so you know, before you put yourself out there online, you can attract psychic beings into your life. And I'm sure the top researchers in the Communist Party know that people have psychic experiences, cognitive experiences. The brightest minds in the Communist Party know that people have psychic experiences connected to beings that can appear in light or shadow, and psychic beings can be good or bad. And I hope, there's more talk within the party about, yes, people have psychic beings experiences, people have psychic experiences that are anomalous, and I hope the party opens up to people, to communists having these discussions within China more, to being able to be honest about their psychic experiences with each other, without being afraid of the party judging them religious imbeciles for having a religious experience. Because once everybody who has like an experience that had like a symbolism containing, like a psychic projection containing religious symbolism, is labeled a religious imbecile, then socialism must win. On the left, socialism must win, with apologies to some of the smartest people in Germany. And what's happened since, what brought on the fall of the Berlin Wall, that huge, that retching in the collective unconscious. And so it was that I sense the being here now that gave me this head slamming, and I know he wants to apply himself toward good karma. And I remember the Arcturians in recent weeks have been helping me do spirit work, which is helping apply this being in the direction of good karma, because he rages. Yeah, he rages at the light sometimes, though. Why not rage at the light of somebody who's engaging in bad karma activities? And in the past, this being has told me, I am the leader of the Blue Moon Group at the NSA, which I have not been briefed about. I thought he told me something like that. I hope this being doesn't cause Air Force workers distress. I was warned it might cause cognitive distress to people in the United States Air Force who have, frankly, one of them says somebody in the. I feel like somebody in the Air Force. Hope it's not just my imagination. I feel like somebody in the Air Force has been like a rock for me, just like right there. It's like right there for me in a good way, in like a supportive way for me, from our country's Air Force. So. And I'm sensing a CE2 telepathic contact here. And forgive me, I thought I heard that the Sirian Council of Sirius A is ready to lay down new edicts for Earth. And the Sirian Council edicts about the inner moon are absolute. Now, certain secret space programs will be allowed to reach the inner moon by Sirius A. And I'm sorry, I thought I heard any communist secret space program, any Chinese secret space program making an entrance will find religious imbeciles within the moon. And I'm sorry, did I hear? And they're ready to be complete. Was that the simulated contact experience? I think the simulated contact experience was happening at the same time. Well, perhaps they will be such religious imbeciles, or feel, I think perhaps we mean so idiotic, perhaps these religious imbeciles will feel so idiotic if communist secret space programs make incursions into the inner moon, into caves that lead into the inside of our planet's moon. And how, yes, thank you, Andromedans, from the Andromedans, how to I'm sensing the Navy secret space programs in particular more than the Air Force for some reason. How do we make our planet's moon the new Io to certain Navy secret space programs? Because you want to look out there toward and past Saturn. And you're sure the Coldasians are just continuing to have don't bother with Neptune. It's been a while since I've heard from the Coldasians of Barnard's star. They told me they're from. We're, of course, of the utmost interest to beings associated with the star of the Hyades. What's that, Talari? Yes, Talari, sometimes more commonly known as the swoops in our military. Will allow incursions in the direction of Sirius B. And if certain secret space programs want to leave for Sirius B, they'll be allowed to do so by Talari? Oh, I'm sorry, we can't talk about that. I don't know if I can put like a drawing up with a picture of it. Use the acronyms, perhaps. Ah, yes, I have to go change my tea, gentle viewer. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. All right, forgive me, gentle viewer, forgive me. I could perhaps go on for a while longer. I don't want to make this a tiresome evening address. I know Spirit's here with us to guide us. And so I just noticed Big Bertha in a CE2 telepathic contact there, followed by a telepathic contact with a being from Sirius A he said he's from, and I thought I heard from Sirius B they're prepared to allow on Earth development of continued genetic enhancement drugs. Transhumans will not be allowed to go into orbit and kill all humans. I'm thinking of George Orwell and the Savage Reservation, though I think I meant Aldous Huxley. I think of George Orwell often. Famous anarcho-syndicalist Eric Arthur Blair's pen name, though. Contemporary of Aldous Huxley, who did not promote anarchist philosophy. No, transhumans, I mentioned, especially with corrupt elite, are not allowed to go to orbit or to bunkers to exterminate the hapless masses with... Wasn't that Bertrand Russell who thought, you know, it'd be better to exterminate the masses with a gas? And so why not have a thriving Earth, in my opinion? Forgive me, Sirians. Why not have a thriving Earth full of 11 billion people with all the vertical greenhouses or rearranged agrarian spaces to feed humanity as best we can? Feed existing humanity as best we can. And those who wish to bioengineer COVID to create a limited die-off are discouraged from doing so by Sirians. Why not allow, well, I want to put words in your mouth, Sirians. I thought I just noticed a telepathic contact that said that bioengineers discouraged from creating new COVID strains to help cull the masses. Approximately, I think I'm paraphrasing slightly. I think I've captured the approximate meaning of the telepathic communication. And so peaceful contact with extraterrestrials can be had. I don't want to spread nonsense about lizard people or reptilian bipeds. And if you see anything called Sibimet, or Sibimet, I've heard them called, I would advise, gentle viewer, just backing out of that audience and going, okie dokie, well, that reptilian biped was a Sibimet. And you might just want to back out of that audience. And if somebody told you that in secret you must worship the Sibimet, you might want to just back away slowly and not contact that person anymore who requested you worship this being. That's what the beings associated with the Hyades might advise you. And those circles are going to lend to people having something like a non-peaceful contact experience. Though when I got this scar on my wrist, at first it seemed like a tall gray was having like, you stupid human, you bite yourself so hard that you bleed and have a scar. It seemed like that. And now it's just this being that appears in the shadow and goes hiss, hiss, hiss off into the darkness. It seemed like a real live tall gray, and it's a simulated contact experience of its own, except it seems to be from the spirit world. And I can see how somebody with it appearing in the shadow might call it a deeply satanic experience. It was just like a horrible being jumped out of nowhere with no warning and attacked me. That seemed like a tall gray at the time. And I feel like these beings of shadow sometimes do this because they want to create a narrative where humans want to increase the military budget in order to defend them from an extraterrestrial threat, and yet I'm thinking of Smedley Butler's war as a racket, and whose cui bono, they might say, in certain departments. Cui bono, who benefits, that means, in Latin approximately. Who benefits from increasing the war industry? Why do we want to support war profiteers? It seems ill-advised to me to support war profiteering. I just feel deep in my gut, that maybe our country's budget can be reallocated. I know the troops out there feel like they need better tools sometimes. Apologies to the troops who feel like they need better tools. They're doing the best they can with the tools they have, like I myself am doing. I hope troops who feel like they need better tools sign up for Spec Ops units. Why did you go into Spec Ops if why are you want better tools? Go into Spec Ops. Spec Ops are crazy, though. Everyone in Spec Ops is crazy, and they say battle is crazy and war is crazy, and some people feel like you have to be the craziest one on the battlefield to survive. I know some military thinkers feel that way, that to be the craziest one on the battlefield is to win the battle. But I don't want to go there while I'm thinking about peaceful contact. And peaceful contact with extraterrestrials can be had. And I don't feel like I have a scar on the top of my head. If it is, it's not a serious scar. No pun intended. And I feel like my hair is growing back. So at least there's that. from the experience I had. And I'm grateful that I survived. I'm grateful to be alive. Really like to continue being alive. I really am grateful to be alive today, this morning. I don't know if I should leave it there for now. Should we consider evening address part 2 and leave it there for now, you think, Bertha? That almost sounded like a pellet gun. I don't know if I need to go check outside with my binoculars, but maybe I shouldn't open my windows because I remember an old teacher told me, it's like lights will only attract bugs and bullets. So go over there, but let's go over to the light. Go over there. Whew. That sounded almost like a pellet gun, though. Like it's gonna break the window and scare me, but not. It's not that dangerous of a neighborhood. Last week the kids were setting off fireworks or something, and I almost went like, oh, that sounded like a 44 Magnum or something. God bless America, they'll say. God bless America. The men are just walking around with like a 44 Magnum on their waist, they'll say. I'm so sorry because I've seen what I'm not a trauma surgeon or anything, but I've seen what gunshot wounds do. Oh, God. Please. Anyone out there who's invested in firearm in this audience, please invest in quality firearms training. Please don't just be an untrained person with a gun. Please seek firearms training if you want to have a gun around. Or feel like you need to have a gun around, please seek. There's no saturation point to training, they'll say. I feel like you couldn't possibly have too much firearms training. It's such a powerful tool. Like a car, it's such a powerful tool. And for people out there who don't believe in fairies or try not to believe in fairies, I'm sorry. Fairies, in my opinion, fairies are real. And you can attune to the mysteries of the Fae through ritual practice. Here. Let me show you. With an altar cloth like this, or a triquetra, first spirit might not, spirit's not going to appear right away if you're like agnostic. It might not appear right away. Spirit's not going to reveal itself to you. And when I was agnostic, I started meditating near an altar cloth like this for several months. And fairies can actually be attracted to the other altar cloth too. For that's the way I just oriented that is to attract Seelie fairies, the fairies that people generally find more pleasant to interact with no offense about. And through applying like fairy music instead of a meditation like I used, I didn't know about spirit. I was just hoping spirit would reveal its existence to me. And after several months of meditation and leaving this kind of altar cloth out in my apartment, Ein Sof Or appeared to me. And revealed his existence to me. I wouldn't force it on people, but I might recommend it if, for people who are wondering about spirit, how can I find a connection with spirit? I know there's a rational skeptic crowd who have these cognitive biases where they go, no, spirit can't possibly exist. And I humbly submit you're wrong, and the empirical evidence of the existence of spirit is growing every day. That spirit exists and spirit is real, even if people have these contradicting cognitive experiences involving spiritual traditions sometimes. And so by playing light music like harp music or fairy music, you can attract fairies to an altar cloth like this. For myself, it took 3 months of applying myself to meditation for spirit to begin to reveal itself, and then it did. Spirit became real to me when I was just agnostic before, and I realized, I had experiences previously that did seem kind of like a ghost. And I was agnostic. I had to admit to myself, it seemed kind of like a ghost. And so be careful if you thought you heard a voice that calls you the unbegun. I hadn't had this experience personally, but I'm worried. For you is what I would tell you if you told me, if I was your psychiatrist and you told me, I heard a voice that called me the unbegun, I might say you should look into ritual Satanism. This is a term used in ritual Satanism. And a Satanist might be trying to haunt you with ghosts. Aiwas might be trying to tell you something. I know unbegun, particularly once they become Gnostic atheists, are often targeted by a spirit called Aiwas. It's associated with Lam and Aleister Crowley. And I know Aiwas can be a good being of shadow to some people, where he shows up, says something informative, and leaves. And it can seem like a genuine incarnate extraterrestrial contact, and and I've encountered a being who told me she goes by the nickname Shyla. And she's been involved with a ritual Satanist's life before. And sometimes I feel like Aiwas is like a familiar to her. Like she seems like a bipedal being to me, and a small UFO that's she's like the size of a human child, it seemed. Perhaps. I want to say she had dark skin. I didn't see her very closely if she was around. And sometimes when she's reaching out to me telepathically, I feel like Aiwas appears and, sometimes he shows up, tells me an informative message that's not cruel, and leaves. He hasn't been a cruel being of shadow to me. I know cruelty is often associated with beings of shadow, and he just hasn't seemed like a cruel one to me. The being that I would call Aiwas. And people in the Pentagon here, from the star we call Lyra. People, one being who goes by the name Alina, who communicates with me, seems to resemble to me beings associated with the star of Lyra. I think her story is she's from another galaxy entirely and has the same genetics. And I think that's the story. And she seemed to be of the opinion that people in the Pentagon, if they were not literally smoking crack, as in crack cocaine, and on each other's assholes, that people in the Pentagon might as well be smoking crack to some of them. Because you want a bigger space fleet, a better space fleet. And what this can accomplish is civilian repression. And there are those in our government who want to grow like a secret space fleet and use them for some kind of cosmic false flag where look what the UFOs did. Look how in this massive inside job the UFOs attacked with our man-made UFOs and our secret space fleet. And I know the Vril Society fleet is not allowed. If somebody wants to participate in an inside job in the fleet attributed to the Vril Society, it's not allowed by Maria Orsek. To be in Maria Orsek's Vril Society is my concern. Is you're no longer Maria Orsek's Vril Society. If you want to make the UFOs a menace like that, the man-made UFOs associated with the Vril Society. And so I think I might have to conclude this evening address here. Was there a final message for other crack smokers in the Pentagon? All right then. Well, just peace out, as we say. Peace out. This evening address. Peace out, audience. Peace out.